Well, howdy tubers. Well, after a few requests anyways, here I'm going to go with my Harbor Freight non-supported video of all my Harbor Freight tools, which I'm sure I probably haven't found them all. But, okay, here we go. Oh, yeah, I didn't go up there, and I've got the digital veneer calipers also, but they're upstairs. I don't know, maybe we'll hit them. But of course you've already seen about this 3-in-1 shear, brake, and slip roller. The slip roller part, which this is the 12-inch, and we'll show you my 30-inch one that we got too. So there's one thing, and I don't know if they still make this or not. Just a shear. It's not like the one we had in the Air Force. They called it a throatless shear. This here, that's as far as you can go. I mean, you can kind of get past it, but it's not what I'd call a real throatless shear. So, and like I say, I don't know if they make this anymore, but you know, I use it occasionally. It don't get a whole lot of use. And then, of course, you've seen me using this little, I think it was a 1x30. Yeah, it says 1x30 belt sander, which also showed you that I've taken off this deal. I've taken that off. So there's that. And of course, you know about my Miracle Wheel, but that isn't Harbor Freight. But love it, love it, love it, love it. Man, it's good for cleaning your aluminum edges. And of course, Harbor Freight rivet gun, hand rivet gun, we'll put it. And of course, I've got several of these. This one here, I've got it set up for 1/8 the roper punches, and since I've got several of these things, like I say, and I don't think they make these anymore. I guess you could probably still find them, but when I went to go get one, they were went up to buy it, and they said 19 cents. I said, well, put me down for 2 of them. So I went and got 2 of them, and I went back the next day, got 4 of them, gave them out for Christmas gifts. Hey, man, they didn't think they were 19 cents. Anyway, so I really use this a lot, or all of these a lot, because I got one set up 3/32, 1/8 inch, 3/16, and 1/4 inch. And of course, I've got some other brands too that I've picked up. And then we got, of course, this isn't my only set, but the number bits, your letter bits, and your fraction bits. And like I say, this isn't my only set. I don't use this set. I just don't, unless I guess really need to get into it, because here's the set I use. Another Harbor Freight, of course, with lots and lots and lots of extra. And Dan, that's building a fortiplane, gave me the other day a set of little bitty drill bits, but I still haven't brought them down here to put them in here with these. But I've got a set, of course, I believe these are Harbor Freight too, some little bitty drill bits. I don't know that you really need a little bit. About the smallest you need on the Ultra Cruiser or H5 that you're building is your number 40. And of course, number 30, and that's, well, now, of course, for drilling for 632 screws, of course, I've got this chart up here for 632 screws. Is a 36 drill bit, and so there you have a and that's so you can drill and tap the side rails for your tank have to be drilled and tapped for your screws, for 632 screws, so you need to drill them to 36 and then tap them with a 632 tap. Of course, I don't believe any of that's Harbor Freight. I'm not saying they don't. That's right. I've got a great big set. If I remember when I get to the garage, we'll see that. And then, of course, we've got the mini lathe, 7 by 19, 7 by 10. 7 by 10, and now this here is pretty much what I use exclusively when I made what I call the rod end bushings. Because if you've got this, you can save. Well, I mean, of course, it's good. Of course, when I bought this, there was like $350. I think they're like $800 now. Not worth that. But because I think these from Hummel, there's a set of 16 of these. These are for your elevator and rudder push rods, and this is for your aileron push rods. I call them rod end bushings because your rod ends screw into there. But of course, I made all mine initially when I made them. That 12 years ago. I think they were like $200 to get them from Hummel. And now I don't know what they are, but at that time it cost me $6 to buy the material at a place here called Metal by the Foot. Of course, the other place that's airplane related has it too, called Air Parts. Great place, great bunch of people, just super people. Well, now we go to my Ingersoll Rand just a little 80-gallon air compressor with a 60-gallon tank behind there. Anyways, I kept frying or messing up whatever the compressor. So this is the second Harbor Freight one I've had on here, but I don't leave it on all the time like I used to. So it just, when it leaked down, well, it'd come back on. And of course, there's the tools for the Harbor Freight lathe. And I do like this thing. I do really like it. But, of course, this isn't Harbor Freight, but that's my smithy. Of course, it's supposed to be a combination lathe and mill. But it's kind of a hassle to turn it around to the mill, so I just bought a Harbor Freight mill. Mill, lathe, whatever you want to call it. They call it drill mill machine. And got quite a bit of usage out of that, and I believe then that these are all Harbor Freight too, all these mills. So I've got a lot of Harbor Freight tools, and I think, of course, Harbor Freight has a little table saw that that's probably the same as this. Here's a Black & Decker, I think. No, Delta. But I'm sure they've got something like that. But then I've got this here drill press, which I did not have this when I built the first Ultra Cruiser. But, and I'm not saying you need that either, really. Maybe a smaller one or something, but hey, they're cheap enough. You can get them. And then I know this isn't Harbor Freight. Oh, it says Sears. That's what I used. I don't have the router bit in there that I used. Let me go. Well, anyways. Of course, I did make a router box up here made to do what this is doing, but I found this at a garage sale, so probably pay $5 or something for it, and then you put your own router on there. But that's what I used. I told you about breaking over this. Of course, this isn't one of the forms, but breaking the edge over on the forms for the bulkheads or the ribs or whatever. That's what I used in there. I think it was a 1/4 inch round over bit, or 1/8 inch, or half an eighth, or I don't know what it was called, but you just want it so it's not a sharp edge. when you're bending it over. Or, yeah, when you're bending it over, when you're hammering it. So anyway, of course, drill press. Now, this is a Craftsman that I got from my dad, but it fell over and broke, and so I welded it, and so it's back in use, and then I made me a stand to put it on. My original Craftsman that I bought, those rubber bands that go on the wheels, they won't stay on. So I got this one. And now I didn't have this when I built the first Ultra Cruiser, but of course I had it when I built the H5 and then the new Ultra Cruiser. But that just works really neat for when you're wanting to do inside, like, inside the, well, of course, remember I showed you that I did the inside of the square parts with this, but if you got round parts, which, for instance, when you cut, you've got to cut the cowling out. Of course, if you're scratch building, you got to. But when you got to cut the cowling to go around the cylinders and stuff like this, man, this makes it great. Just really works good. Really, really neat. Of course, got extra drums, Harbor Freight. So, what else would there be? Oh, well, I would imagine this could be Harbor Freight, my grinder. I don't remember on that. So, let's see. What else? I don't know about those. But anyway, so we'll go out in the garage and show you. I got a bunch more of them out there set up. Oh, no, that's not. Well, okay, well, of course, these magnetic bases and stuff for your dial indicator and stuff like that. There's a digital dial indicator and another dial indicator, anyways, that I use on the lathe. Okay. Well, before I got out there, I seen this. This I used. Well, this here I used on the bandsaw. Had it set out here when I cut the spars, the upper and lower angles on the spars on the H5. On the plans, it showed you an option that you could taper them to save weight. So I saved a pound on each spar, spar cap. And that's what I used to, they're like 7 foot long, 8 foot long that I had to run through the bandsaw to trim them off to save some weight. So, okay. I got my heater on, so let me go turn that off. I think it's like, 18, 20 degrees. That was the first time I ran it since I fixed it. It had some cracks in the back cap, so I super glued them and adjusted on the pressure regulator, I guess, fuel pump or whatever. And I'm not spitting fuel out of it now. So, anyways, I know when I was doing the new Ultra Cruiser I'd went and bought some more of these to put all the hardware in at Harbor Freight, and this is a bigger, well, it's about 2 sizes big and got some little bit bigger things in there, but you can change them around. I've got a mess of them. So anyway, guess here's the heater I had going. But here's the 30-inch Harbor Freight 3-in-1. Well, that's Harbor Freight 2, the light. And, of course, these, not necessarily to build an Ultra Cruiser, or maybe the H5, but not the Ultra Cruiser. And, of course, there's that. Well, there's Harbor Freight jack stands. And, of course, this isn't Harbor Freight. This thing is like, was made in 46. I don't know, but it had some cracks in it. I think it was probably dropped with a forklift. Had some cracks in it that somebody had welded up, but then I found more cracks, so I welded it up. Love that thing. And while we're right here, here's Harbor Freight shrinker and stretcher. And since I'm showing you them, I'll tell you, we'll be putting those to use here pretty quick, like, because I figure I'm going to make a rib for you. I was getting some of those parts out today, so we'll be using them. I just kind of figure out where I'm going to make it at. Now, I've got a Harbor Freight TIG welder, but it doesn't do aluminum. I didn't know it till I got it home. But this is a Harbor Freight welding table. And then, now, I don't know if they still have these 4-foot brakes like this or not. I got it online, and of course it truck shipped it. And then I'm welding me up a table for it. And of course, that's done fine and dandy for me. Of course, it has nothing to do with my English wheel I made. There's nothing on there Harbor Freight that I know of. Found that metal down at the Lake of the Ozarks. Somebody tossed a whole bunch of it, so I grabbed it. Okay, so I've probably got, I don't know, three or four of these Harbor Freight levels, and then I've got some probably 3 and a 4-foot one too that aren't Harbor Freight. I think they make them. Of course, I've used the step drills. The only thing that usually use these for, at least in my case, is for going through the bulkheads or whatever, to put grommets for your wires to go through. Of course, got a whole set of screwdrivers, Harbor Freight. And this here's something that I use quite a bit, because you know that on the bulkheads when I'm doing them, that I show you that of course I used that roper punch. But the roper punch has got a little bitty tit there that this fits in, so it keeps, when you go to find where you're going to go, well, it'll fall in that hole, and then you punch it. And these are just you just push them. Yeah. Let's see. There's a piece of wood. Some tapered shims, but they just push. And of course, now I don't know. They may have, Harbor Freight may have these. That's something else I used when scratch building the H5 and Ultra Cruiser. I use these for my brakes. Mainly, of course, on the H5, since it's got hydraulic brakes. But if you put the Black Max brakes on your Ultra Cruiser, then those will come in handy. And I got the brass. Now, well, I guess this isn't Harbor Freight. That's Harbor Freight might have them, but I use the brass ones when I take the heads off to clean the head and the top of the piston and stuff. Use brass ones, not the steel ones. But I think Harbor Freight probably has them too. Okay. Now, these are Harbor Freight, believe it or not. That's where I got these. Made in Taiwan, not China. But I don't, well, at least I haven't seen them there for several years. Now, I got a couple pairs of these back when I built the first Ultra Cruiser. But, I mean, they work. Here's the little side cut-off things. I usually buy these at Oshkosh, but I see Harbor Freight has them too. And that's like for cutting cotter pins, or for cutting the wire ties, the plastic wire tie things, to get down close, because they're flush cutting, not like regular dikes. alternative lifestyle pliers. Of course, you got these. They don't work as good as the Craftsman do, but if you're really, really on a pinch, they'll work. These are super sharp. For some reason, that is just super sharp. I really like these. Really do good. The only problem is they got 832 and 1032, and one thing you need is 632 sometimes to shorten some screws. And you'll need, for the scratch builders, you'll need a mess of these Harbor Freight C-clamps. I think there's a few of them hanging right here on this. I don't remember what they call this. It's an adjustable bench. I've got two of them. Of course, you probably already got the Harbor Freight scissors. And you probably already got Harbor Freight tape measure. And the Harbor Freight ruler, which I really like. I just wish, and it has, this is a brand new one. I got several of them, but it's got cork on the back side. I don't know if of course it keeps it from scratching things, but I kind of like having the numbers on both sides. Like I've got some of their 3 foot, or no, I guess it's 40-inch rulers, and they only have the numbers on one side. Now these are great. Now I'm thinking they still have these Harbor Freight shears. And then I bought these when I built the first one. I am missing a screw out of there. I just haven't got around to putting another one in there. I think I've got one that'll fit. But work great. Work great. Gotta tell you. Okay, and then of course they come in a set of 3, the Harbor Freight hammers with the plastic end and the rubber end on there. Work fine and dandy. And then of course Harbor Freight grinders, which that's just what this is that I've told you about before, that they used to, but I don't believe they have them anymore. This little 3/4, I believe it is, sanding attachment. I really like that too. Of course, that's good for sanding the inside of the bulkheads also. So got that. And then the big major thing that's extremely nice have is the pneumatic rivet guns that Harbor Freight has. And I've got 2 of these because I got one set up for button head, which that's the main one you'll need. You won't really need the flush for flush rivets. Of course, the H5 I did in all flush rivets. Of course, solid on the back here. So use my rivet squeezer there. So let's see. I'm sure there's several other. Yeah. My Harbor Freight tire changer thing that works for changing the tires on the Ultra Cruiser or the H5. So, let me sneak around here, see if there's anything else I can find. A bunch of these little plastic clamps, they don't last too long, but they'll work for a while. That's good to have a bunch of clamps, like I say, especially when you're scratch building. You'll need a lot of clamps. Also, of course, you scratch builders will be building on the beam, which of course, that's right. I took my beam outside finally after 10 years. Probably 11 or 12 years. Anyway, when you build the fuselage on a beam there, and in my case, I took poster board and wrapped it around the fuselage to get my skin's shape, and then of course cut it out and then wrapped it around and then used them Harbor Freight straps and all that to strap it down, and of course you'll be ordering a lot of stuff probably from Aircraft Spruce, and a lot of things like hinges and stuff will come on these 1x2s. Keep them, don't throw them away, because you can put them on the fuselage and put your straps on there so you can put pressure where you need it more. And if that isn't enough pressure where you need it, that's where these shims come in play. So you can use it. Of course, you can get these in plastic too. I've got some plastic ones too. But those come in handy when you're wrapping the skins around the fuselage, especially your C to D skin, where that's going to come in handy. And my buddy Matt, that's where he's at, or that's what he'll be getting to work on. He's got his F to E, and he's got his E to D, and he's got his D to C skins on. Well, not riveted, but clecoed. And so now he's going to go from C to B. And that one's all one piece. But, of course, it's only half the fuselage, so. But that's a big booger. So, anyways, like I said, I will be getting to get ready to do a rib for you. So, anyway, I hope this, a long video, I'm sorry. I hope this was helpful on Harbor Freight tools. Like I say, I'm not saying they're the best, but, they work. So there you go, and God bless.